How's everyone doing today? Good? So it was a pleasure to hear my name pronounced correctly. It does not happen often. My sister's name is Sarah, and I always ask my dad, why did you make my name so complicated? And he always tells me, I named you after a famous player when Pakistan went to the World Cup. I was like, that's great. I love football. I love soccer. And he's like, no, not that kind of World Cup. It was cricket. I was like, what's that? Why can't they just play baseball, right? So today, I want to talk about hacking. I'm going to show you some hacking techniques that you can use. Now, I don't want anyone to get in trouble, so everything we're going to show today happens in Magic Land, okay? We're just going to pretend that this is Magic Land. Because in the US, we actually have a show called Oz, and this land of Oz, is much better than the show that we have in the US of this land of Oz. So let's just pretend everything I talk about today happens in Magic Land. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. That's me in my office. I time travel and fight robots. But I always say I'm a hacker. I'm a hacker by trade because it's my job. I actually started off my career as a hacker for the US government. It was my job to hack other places in the US government. So that's what I do. I always say I'm a hacker by trade. And then I always say I'm a ninja in training because about a year ago, I started studying Krav Maga. Now, I know I don't look like a ninja right now. I'm being enjoying the food a little bit. But if I come back next year, I'll be all looking good. And believe it or not, I'm actually a prince by blood. I'm actually a real-life relative to the Prince of Dubai. I'm 200th in line of succession. So I'm just thinking in my head what I need to do. But I've been working in cybersecurity for a very long time. I've written books. I've written certification tests. Now, most of you probably already recognize me. I was very proud of being on the cover of Time magazine in 2006. I was actually named Times Magazine's Person of the Year. I was so excited about that. I remember buying all these magazines saying, look, I made it. My mom just looked at me and just shook her head and said, wow, I can't believe you think this is funny. Now, in cybersecurity, I want to talk about hacking because I started discovering something recently, is that the internet lies. Believe it or not, everything you read on the internet is not true. I know you're probably surprised about this. How I learned that people lie on the internet is I actually started online dating. Now, believe it or not, people on online dating, they lie. Especially when you go to places like Match.com or eHarmony, people lie about their profile pictures. Has anyone ever done any online dating? No? A few people. All right. Now, I'm sure you've probably noticed that people's online picture is not always exactly how they look like. I wish people could be honest about themselves, just like I am. I mean, I have a pretty good picture of myself. Now, I know what you're thinking, okay, but I just cut my hair. But if I do a side pose, I have the jacket on, you can't really see the guns. The internet, lies all the time about hacking. So today I want to show you what hacking is. It's not about people typing very fast on a keyboard. I love this because just if you have two people typing on a keyboard, it doesn't make hacking go faster, just like what happens here. Wow, let's have two people. So, very famous show in the US, and for some reason people always think if you have two people typing on the keyboard, I think this will actually slow you down hacking. But let me show you some of the things that people don't realize. This plug here, I actually found in a US government building. It looks like a regular plug. It works like a regular plug. But what it had was a 3G modem inside, and it was behind a printer, and it allowed hackers to come in, bypass firewalls, bypass any security because it's not being monitored on the network. They turned on a wireless card, and they just started hacking a US government building. Now, if you've ever connected to any wireless device, any wireless network on your phone is always looking for that wireless network. I travel quite a bit, so my phone is always looking for H honors for Hilton or some other wireless network. What this device does, it's a $99 device, and it says, I'm that network. Whatever you're looking for, connect to me, it's fine. Send me all your security, and then a hacker can basically do anything they want with you at that point. They can give you fake websites, fake banking websites, steal your corporate information, anything they want, for about, 75 euros. Of course, we have a lot of tools to just steal credit card information. You can buy these tools remotely. There's a lot of things that hackers have, all these tools that they have. People don't realize just how easy it is, and I'm going to show you where hackers get their tools and how they do business today. So let's talk about who are the hackers today. They could be state actors, they could be government entities, like I was, only I was a good guy, depending on your point of view. There's hacktivists, which are very difficult to stop because they're politically motivated. Sometimes they're just kids or people that want to show the world how smart they are. And other times it's actually corporations. And of course, sometimes us researchers are called hackers as well. Now, in the last few years, researching criminal organizations that are hacking, I was very surprised to find that some organizations are better organized than most companies. They have CEOs, they have account managers, they actually have people that with sales quotas. They're asked to sell a certain amount of hacks, and if you're not buying from them, they're selling to your competitors. They're saying, what does your competitor have? And let me get that information for you. Here's a good example. A lot of criminal organizations around the world, and Sergey actually ran one of the largest criminal organizations in the world, based out of the Russian Federation. Now, what he did originally, his organization was known for human trafficking, for drugs, for violent crimes. But he figured out he can make a lot more money basically selling spam. So you buying drugs on the internet was more valuable to him than all the other stuff that he was doing. He was making a lot of money, and actually his organization at one point was one of the largest spam organizations in the world for sending phishing emails, for advertisements, for all that junk you get in your email. So where do hackers actually do this? How do hackers communicate with each other? We're going to talk about something called the dark web, the deep dark web. Now, raise of hands, has anyone ever heard of the dark web before? Quite a few of you, almost everyone, wow. I don't want to ask what you guys are doing on the dark web. Now, for those of you that don't know what the dark web is, let's talk about just the internet in general, because we say the internet has different types of levels. For example, what we call level 0 on the internet is normally everything that's available from Google. Anything that you can do a Google search on and get to, that is what we call level 0. Now, they say an iceberg, like in the sea, only has 20 to 30% of its volume above the sea. They say about most of it is below the sea, that you can't see it. And we kind of say the internet is that way as well, because it's hard to believe, but most of the stuff that's out there on the internet is actually not available by Google searches. And this is what we call the rest of the internet. We have things and they're getting better, obviously even Google starts doing more things, but things like forums and chat channels and archives and things like Dig, they may not be always searchable. People may actually lock out Google services. They may actually say, hey, I don't want this searchable by a web engine or a search engine. We have levels 2 and 3, which are more some of the news groups, some of the Usenet, Gopher sites, things that people think no one uses anymore. But if you were a college student in the 90s, you definitely know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I think I'm just very old at this point. Then we have what we call the deep web. Most of the hacking is happening on the deep web. What that means is there's websites out there that are hosted by ISPs. These ISPs, these internet service providers, 70% of the business they do is completely legitimate, legal, no one has a problem with. 30% of them are hacking sites, hacking forums, where they're selling services, trying to do cybercrime. And it's very difficult to take these down. It's very difficult to stop them. They're in countries where normally no one's listening to us. And lastly, we have what we call the dark web, the darknet. Now, the difference between the deep web and the darknet is you need special software to get on the darknet. You can't just open up a web browser, at least not a normal web browser. You have to download a special web browser. Now, most of the time when we're talking about the darknet, we're talking about onion routing or Tor routing, but there's other types of darknet. Almost everyone's talking about Tor when they talk about the darknet, but there are things like I2P, Freenet, Johnny Donham. All these different sites, the main thing they have in common is that they take different software. You have to download some other software to make it work, to get on these networks. Now let's talk about the Tor network, but that's what most people talk about on the darknet. The Tor network is sometimes called onion routing. The reason we call it onion routing is if you think about an onion, who likes onions? Who likes breast mints? Hopefully everyone that raised their hands. All right, if you think about an onion, it has multiple layers, right? I mean, you can peel one layer off and another layer off and another layer off, right? Onion routing works the same way, is that there's multiple layers when you send traffic through. When computer one, Alice, wants to send traffic to Bob, and she downloads special software to get on the Tor network, she makes an encrypted, secure communication link with computer one. Computer one knows about Alice, and it knows about computer two. And it sends the traffic to computer two. Computer two only knows about computer one and computer three. And then traffic gets to computer three, and it knows about Bob. Bob has no idea where Alice is or who Alice is. Bob has no idea about computer one or computer two. All he knows about is computer three. That's where he got the traffic. There's multiple layers, and that's why it's called onion routing. Now, in the real world, it's not 3 computers. It's usually 100 to 200 to 300 on average when you download the software. And that's why if you download the software to get on the Tor network, it's very, very slow because it's going through this entire stream. So if you're going to do this, have a lot of patience. Now, how do you actually get on the Tor network? There's 2 main ways to get on the Tor network. Is to download the Tor browser bundle, which is essentially a Firefox browser with special software built into it. Or you can download the Tails operating system, which is a little more secure. The Tor browser bundle will essentially put HTTP traffic on the Tor network, while the Tails operating system will put all your traffic on the network. People don't realize sometimes they just download this bundle, and when we're working with law enforcement, we catch them all the time because they're going to a website, but they don't realize the computer is basically giving us all their other information, not on the Tor network all the time. The Tails operating system got pretty popular a few years ago because that's what Edward Snowden, when he was passing secrets for the US, he was saying that he was using the Tails operating system to hide his identity. I'm not sure how he was using that, but still, it got really popular but because of him. Now, I will tell you, once you download Tor and you get on the Tor network, a lot of people will want to talk to you. A lot of hackers or different people will want to talk to you and give you advice. I will just say, be careful on who you talk to. And I'll give you an example of this. I had a web conference with a hacker, and he wanted to show me stuff, so you always have to be careful when you do a video call with someone. But this was what was on the other end of that video call. Now, the main reason I'm showing you this image is because I had trouble sleeping after I saw this. And I think you guys should have trouble sleeping as well. So just be careful on who you talk to, and if you do a web conference with anyone you don't know, be very careful. You'll see things you probably don't want to see. Now, once you get on the Tor, say you download this browser, right? You download the Tor browser, you're like, okay, what's next? How do I actually find these sites that you're talking about? How do I find these hacker sites? Now, there's not a good search engine for Tor, but a lot of people have basically compiled a list of like Tor sites. One of the most popular lists is called the Tor Hidden Wiki. It's basically a list of all these hacker sites or sites on the Tor network. Now, how hard is the Tor Hidden Wiki to find? Actually, it's not too hard. If you Google it, it's the first link that comes up. So not too hard to find. And it has a whole bunch of things on it. Now, I will tell you, most of the things on the Hidden Wiki, it's like step one. A lot of times you have to go dig a lot further in. You have to spend time on these sites. You have to read the forums to find the real sites. On one of these forums, they were talking about a hacker network, and I was trying to find it. The only way I could find it is I actually had to look at the source code of the website, and it had a math problem inside it. You had to solve that math problem. You got an answer to another site, and then you were able to get into the real site. So sometimes they have a lot of tricks on that site. Now, there's all these different types of sites that are on the Tor Hidden Wiki, or even in the Darknet in general. For example, one time hackers decided they want their own social network. They said it would be good to be social, right? Who uses Facebook? A few people. All right, you guys have all been hacked. All right? Just go ahead and accept every friend request from me. Right? Don't worry about it. You know, hackers actually decided they wanted their own social network, so what did they do? They decided to steal the code from Facebook at least a couple of years ago and came up with their own social network called Torbook. You should sign up for it, or maybe not. Now, there's other things on the Darknet. This is this concept what we call ghost markets. A ghost market is an ephemeral market, which means that it can be there one day and completely disappear another day. Most of the drugs that are sold on the internet happen on these ghost markets. Now, besides drugs, you can pretty much find anything else like hacks and passwords and data leaks and everything else. One of the most popular ones of ghost market was Silk Road. I think a lot of people have heard of that. It was in the news. But there's a lot of other ghost markets that are out there as well. The Agora market, which has actually been taken off, was one of the most popular drug markets that are out there. I don't even know what half this stuff means, but you can see you can buy everything. High quality Afghan Kush. Has anyone had that before? Wow, nobody raised your... Was that your hand? No, I'm just joking. So, but you can find everything out there, and in fact, you'll see most of the drugs that are bought in the United States, as well as other countries, as well in the UK and other parts of Western Europe, are actually done online, and this is where they're done. Now, this site, like I said, has been taken down by law enforcement authorities, but it's kind of like Hydra from Marvel, right? And when you take one down, two more come in its place all the time. You can actually buy a lot of counterfeit goods out there. Now, one of these Rolexes is a fake. Who thinks the one on the left is a fake? So everyone thinks the one on the right is a fake? Okay, think about it. Which one looks like a fake to you? Both? This one's actually a fake. I actually ordered this one. This one's a real one. Now, when you hold it, you'll be able to tell one's a fake. One's like very light, so you can kind of tell the difference. But this one is a fake. By the way, this one was the second one I ordered. The first one I ordered actually had 2 L's in it, so I knew it was a fake. Now, as a researcher, I thought I was being smart, and I was like, you know what? I will order my girlfriend a Louis Vuitton purse. Be careful of what you order, because this one actually melted in the rain. She did not think it was real. It's also the reason I'm single now. The other thing that's becoming really popular is people selling healthcare records. Now, with a healthcare record, like when you steal a credit card fraud is caught very quickly. Credit card and banks are very good at detecting how you spend your money and if something doesn't look normal. With a healthcare record, sometimes people ask me, why is that important? I'm not a politician. I'm not a movie star. I don't care about someone blackmailing me, and that's fine. But if you think about it in a healthcare record, it has a lot of other information in it as well. It has your name, has your address, has your health history, has your identification, has a lot of other things. On top of that, healthcare fraud is very difficult to catch in many places. You can see healthcare records And of course, these prices can be negotiated. It's not 750 Bitcoins, which, Bitcoins today are $8,000 a piece. But normally, I would bet this, 9 million records would probably cost about $8,000 to $10,000, especially if they're coming from someone that's known of hacking healthcare records. So the Dark Overlord is a really well-known hacker. We don't know who he is, but he has hacked a lot of healthcare records. He was most likely the guy behind the Yahoo hack as well. And you can see he just has lots and lots of health records to catch. Now, I asked this guy, I actually contacted him and I said, is this for real? Do you really have health records? And he's like, let's do a chat. Let's do a team viewer chat. And first of all, I'm thinking this guy's gonna hack me, right? So I'm not using my laptop. Let me do this on a different laptop that's not connected to my internet. I'll use my mobile phone and let me see what you have. And he shared his screen with me, and this was a healthcare database that he stole from a company in New York. Now, I know I don't look like it, but I'm a cowboy. I'm actually from Texas. I live in Houston, Texas. And I was like, so what? I don't do anything in New York. And he's like, no, but your insurance company does. When you go down the street in Houston and you get some medicine, that company does business in New York, so I have your healthcare records as well. So he actually brought up my healthcare records. It had all my information on it. I think I should do a better job in putting this out. But it had all my information on it, including my medicines, my address, some other things as well. And this is just a sample of that as well. Like I said, lots and lots of patient information. Now, of course, credit cards have always been on sale. You can buy credit cards. They're so cheap to buy. A lot of hackers will give guarantees on credit cards, saying, if you buy from me, I will guarantee that will work for $3,000 or something to that extent. So credit cards are not a big deal. Sometimes being sold for now less than $5 a credit card, sometimes full mag strip with PIN numbers and everything. Now, actually, what's being sold is PayPal accounts. And I started thinking to myself, why is this popular? For $85, you can buy an account for $701. That sounds like a good investment, right? I mean, why wouldn't I want to be doing this? This is actually not for reasons just to make money. When hackers are putting in software like ransomware, when they want to hack you, when they want to hide their identity, they actually have the same problem you and I have running a business. They need fast internet and they need a good computer. And where do they get that? Cloud computing, Amazon, other ISPs. Now, how do you pay for that? You pay for that with a credit card. And if you're using a stolen credit card, it'll probably be shut down pretty fast. But if you're paying for it with PayPal, you're probably going to be able to use this for a couple of days. You can probably run a ransomware attack for days, weeks, maybe even longer. Now, other things that are being sold on the dark web are things like fake IDs. I really like how the fake ID company has their own copyright notice. I don't know what that's about. Now, you can buy IDs from pretty much every company, every country, IDs and passports. I actually ordered a passport, and most countries use the chip in the passports these days. These ones actually had the chip in them. The guy asked me what I wanted on the chip, or he said, just trust me, I'll make it work, don't worry about it. I did not want to test it. I did not want to actually go to the airport and test it. I figured I did not want to be put in a military prison. That did not sound like a good vacation for me. But they're there, and like I said, they look real. They look very real. I think they're using the same paper, same passports. I don't know exactly where they're getting it from. Now, if you don't have the money to buy this, it's okay. You can order your own money, your own currency. Now, let me tell you about this currency. I was actually asked to test this currency for a few banks. I ordered U.S. currency. In the U.S., we have most businesses, when you give them a $100 bill or some large bill, we have a test. We have a marker, a black marker that you put on the money. If it turns brown, it means it's fake. That's what most businesses use. This passed that black marker test. What we also tell businesses in the U.S. is if you've ever worked at a fast food restaurant or any retail store, is people hold the money up to a light and they see if there's a little thread in there. most of our money has that. This had that thread. I decided to take this to a few major banks in the US, banks like Wells Fargo, Citibank, Bank of America. Most of the banks could not tell this was fake money. Now, it absolutely was fake money. There was ways to tell about it. It just wasn't a normal way to tell. And of course, because of the price and I was getting so much of it, I knew it was fake as well. Now, there's a term called doxing on the internet. Has anyone ever been doxed? Hopefully not. What doxing means is you don't like someone and you're going to get them. You're going to publish all the information about them to embarrass them and to make their lives miserable. It happens a lot with lawyers, with judges, with teachers. They're like, this is this person. They sometimes post embarrassing pictures or photographs. Now, I can tell you with the restraining order against me, this is Kim Kardashian's information. I was told not to contact her anymore after this. Needed to check if it was real or not. Told me please stop calling her. All right, but you can find pretty much information about everyone that is out there. You can find information about celebrities or anyone else. And if someone's not out there, you can basically do a request. You can say, I want to know about this person. And pretty much hackers of the world will unite and try and find out everything they can. And of course, you can hire your own hackers. You can hire your own hackers to teach you how to hack or how to hack anyone. Now, you ask how much it is to actually ruin someone's life. Well, it's about 500 euros. You can basically ruin someone's life for 500 euros. This guy will do it. In fact, there's a lot of services that will just sell you malware, that will sell you anything you want to bypass security on any type of organization. And here's an example of this. This is something that I recreated. But what I'm doing is I'm just taking Adobe Reader, and I'm basically excuse me, creating a backdoor program for this reader. I'm downloading Adobe Reader, and I'm going to go ahead and install malware on it. Now, I'm not showing you everything because basically I'm using an attack that I got from this hacker, but this attack essentially bypasses any type of security someone has. Now, I know this is a little difficult to see, especially if you're not, and it's going really fast, especially if you're not used to what's going on. But what I'm doing is I'm basically downloading a program I got from a hacker, and he's saying he can bypass any type of security, any antivirus, any type of passwords, and he'll log that all back to me. So on this box over here, what I'm doing is I'm actually going ahead and logging into Facebook. That's my Facebook ID, right? That's if you see that picture, that's me on Facebook. And it's actually stealing the Facebook ID and stealing cookies. So even if you have things like two-factor authentication, you're logging into a place that has a text message on there, and you think you're secure, it doesn't matter. This program is stealing all that information. It doesn't matter what you have, what kind of security, what type of firewall, if you're getting text messages, if you have to open up two-factor authentication, this steals it, and it lets you just replay that, so you can log on to their banks, you can log on to their Facebook, you can log on to anything they want. If you want to see this in a little slower and want me to do it live, just come to the booth afterwards, or booth, and I can go into a lot more detail on this. So besides hacking, I always ask, what else people ask me, what else can you find on the internet? And I always ask them, how much do you think a life is worth on the internet? Because on the internet, it's worth about $10,000. We have things like assassin networks that people like try and pay. We've actually caught a lot of people going through divorces, like going through trying to hire assassins. If you're getting a divorce, do not show your wife about this, I guess, or your husband or whoever, right? There's dangerous things. There's a lot of dangerous things on the internet. Now, I always have to ask, if this is real or fake, right? I mean, you see things like this. There are definitely scams out there. There are definitely people that are just going to try and take your money. You pay $10,000 to someone. What happens if they're fake? You're not going to go to the police and tell them, hey, what happened? There's a lot of scams out there. I always tell people, if you found it in 5 minutes, it's probably fake. Right? You have to look a little deeper to see what's out there as well. Because there are a lot of law enforcement sting operations as well. I work a lot with law enforcement, and we run these all the time just to see if people are actually using them, trying to get to them. That happens all the time as well. And of course, there's just honeypots for researchers. We just want to see who's connecting, where they're connecting from, what kind of information they're giving. as well. So a lot of researchers will do this on their own time as well. But as I said, if you find it in 5 minutes, it's probably fake. So if you found it on the Tor Hidden Wiki on the first link, it's probably fake. You just have to look a little deeper. But those things are out there and they're real. Now, some of the things that when I started doing my research, I said, well, that's interesting, but what's the new stuff that's out there? You know, what is the cutting edge attacks that people are going for? And I found this one hacker who basically told me that most organizations, Fortune 100 organizations, he's actually hacked because they had Alexa in their organizations somewhere. They had Amazon services or Google services just sitting on their network. And I was like, how did you do that? And I started learning about this thing called skill squatting. Has anyone heard of skill squatting? No. Well, what it is it's basically you publish a name in Alexa. Alexa has an app store, and you publish an app that sounds like something else. For example, say American Express is a popular app. And I say, well, wow, that's cool. I'm going to publish my own thing called Amex, right? Not American Express, my own application called Amex. Someone goes to Alexa and says, hey, Alexa, open up my Amex account. They were downloading my app, not American Express's app.
Welcome to Amex. Your account has been hacked.
I send them any message I want.
Welcome to Amex. Your account has been hacked.
Then I give them a link to download a program. That link is a fake link with my own program on it. And they're downloading my program and putting in their user information. And I have that captured now. Now, if you're a company and you already have Alexa skills, say like, Alexa, what's my human resources? What's my healthcare records? You know, when's payday? Be like, please download this app. I have all your information out there. And you can see people on the internet are asking about this all the time. This is a hacker forum, and someone's asking like, hey, how do I develop my own code, my own AI, artificial intelligence code, to hack a voice? Other things that I'm seeing is drones. Now, I love playing with drones. They're like a lot of fun. I chase my little niece with it all the time. She's like 6 years old. She gets scared. I make her run a lot of times, just sitting around. She's not happy about that sometimes. But I love drones, and you can do a lot with drones. In fact, we actually found like one company that they were attacked by drones in their data center. Someone took acid and put it on a drone, and they were trying to get it through Windows, trying to take down their data center. So we see drones all the time. There's a lot of attacks just happening with drones, and you can find them on the Darknet as well. Other things you can find. I was really surprised just to hear about drones like taking down data centers and using cyber attacks. But anything you can really find out there, there's attacks for. There's attacks on how to basically like make money off Uber by using fake GPS programs and signing up for Uber and making money sitting at home. There's guides for that. There's guides on how to make money with drones. There's guides on how to make money with Alexa and voice services. Anything you can think of, next generation, they're attacking. They're not just looking for your Microsoft programs. So what do we do now, right? How do we actually solve this problem? And like I said, we can talk about it upstairs, but essentially, it's about understanding what that problem is. That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about all these different problems on cyber attacks, because we don't really think about, hey, how this can affect our lives. Cyber is everywhere today. It's in cars. It's like everywhere we use on our homes, our thermostats. My refrigerator is connected to the internet. Got an email message this morning saying that I was like out of Coke Zero. I love Coke Zero, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. It was scanning stuff in and scanning stuff out. I could tell someone probably like a family member probably like took my Coke Zero. I was like a little upset about that, but cyber is everywhere, and you can hack those refrigerators. Actually, one of the reasons I actually bought that was to see if I could hack it, and it's in cars. Like I said, it's everywhere. It's part of our lives. And the thing is, there's a famous quote by Donald Rumsfeld in the U.S., and he basically said, "We don't know what we don't know." If we're now looking for attacks like in all around our lives, we don't know how to protect these attacks. That's just one of the reasons I wanted to come out today to show you the different types of attacks that are out there that are more than just your typical attacks. All right, so I will end it here and see if anyone has any questions. We have about 5 minutes left.
Okay, let's first give a big hand. Thank you, Aamir. Any questions?
If there's no questions, we got 5 minutes left, so I can just sit here very awkwardly as well.
Yeah, but as a warm-up, we Finns, we always want to know what other people are thinking about us, and I think that a couple of years back, our government made a kind of a target setting that we want to be among the forerunners in cybersecurity and in this area. How do you recognize Finland as a player in this space?
So I think from what I'm reading is there's definitely a lot of effort coming out of Finland and this area in general on trying to be a leader, which is great. A lot of people are now recognizing the threats in cybersecurity. I think from what I've seen and the work that we're doing out here, we're seeing that everyone is at least interested in having a conversation about cybersecurity. They realize that it can't be an afterthought anymore. It has to be part of an ecosystem, which is very important. Things that I've seen what you guys are doing with connected cities and businesses in general. It's great that everyone's thinking about cybersecurity, and that is really the first step.
Good, thank you. Okay, and a disclaimer by Fujitsu, so we are not really encouraging you to try this nasty shit what's happening here. Okay, there we have a question, and please wait a second to have the microphone. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. I'm just wondering how unprotected our phones are at the dark web.
Yeah, so phones in general are a great attack tool for attackers. They know most people are on their phones all the time. When you're in line, when you're like at the airport, you don't see people pulling up their laptops. You see them pulling up their phones all the time. And so they are definitely targeting and attacking phones. Now, phones are a little harder to attack just because it's a lot less software. It's not like an operating system that has multiple billions of lines of code. Just because of the size and memory, it's a smaller attack vector, what we call attack vector. So you have some safety there, but there are attacks all the time. There's fake apps, there's data leakage, there's man-in-the-middle attacks with that Wi-Fi situation that I told you about, where they're trying to pass new apps. So you always have to be very careful. My personal advice is try to never connect to an unknown Wi-Fi network. Of course, no one does that, right? We connect to every Wi-Fi network we can. So at least try and use VPN or try and use your mobile networks if you can. A little harder to hack for attackers to attack mobile or LTE networks if you can. But attackers know that that's where you're spending most of your time on.
Thanks.
Good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, let's give a big hand to Aamir once again.